Now that we have power back, welcome back to some more Stormworks. I am StormRunner Gaming, and today I am back here with a couple older vehicles from my inventory here. And if you take a really close look at them, you can tell that they don't have any of those instrument panels, they don't have Lewis screens, they don't have much of anything new. They don't even have those new wheels or suspension. We're running on a lot of older stuff as in Stormworks terms. But anyways, we have a little Explorer type of crossover vehicle here with a huge tank on the roof, and on the other side we have this very long van here, 6-wheel drive of course, but it looks like a small, I guess, survival limo there. They both look like some crazy vehicles, and both of these were schemes for a little challenge I was trying to design a couple months ago actually. And I designed my own vehicles and I was going to do something in a multiplayer base there, but actually we never got around to doing anything, and I just haven't found anyone that actually will make a vehicle. And I'm pretty sure you guys are interested to know what these vehicles do. If you haven't guessed already, they're underwater vehicles. So of course you can have a regular vehicle, regular car that runs pretty well, just like this one. We get the engine running, everything. We're gonna get some exhaust out. I think we should get some exhaust running. We got that engine running yet? Oh, we have to turn on our pumps here for everything. And now we should get, yep, there goes our engine running nice and well there. I'm gonna click that air up button and I'll explain that in a second here. We just need to make sure that fills up. So when you have an amphibious vehicle, that vehicle, basically when you put it into the water, it's still going to be using its engine or maybe use an outboard motor to propel it through the water. And that's how most cars that go onto water work. Not exactly what I'm doing here type of deal. What I've actually designed is a vehicle that can drive. It's supposed to drive under the surface of the water, keeping its own weight on the ground with all of its power, but like a scuba diver using a very long tube to get down from a boat or something. That huge float on the top is going to float up as we get into the water here and provide me with air for my engine as well as an exhaust port coming out of it. So now that we're going deep enough here, hopefully, yep, there it goes. And as you can see, those 3 air ports and 1 exhaust are keeping my engine running pretty nice here. And it's like it's not even happening. If we can keep that bobber right there, just like a fishing bobber, up on the surface there, we are perfectly fine here. And it's a really weird concept to think about because you have to weigh these cars down a lot. As you can see, a lot of the paneling, even the underside of the car, has been replaced with those weight blocks instead of regular blocks. Now, this was the first preliminary version, and I'm sad to say I can't put this on the workshop just because it is not my car. I was using a workshop vehicle at the time, and even though it is an amazing workshop vehicle, I don't want to republish anyone else's work. So instead, I went off with my own crazy self and started to design my own vehicle. And in my head, that was before I had started doing all the off-roading vehicles, and I was thinking I could find a king of the mountain, so to speak, with everything there. So I was trying to make the best off-roading vehicle that I could with that 6-wheel drive and everything else. Actually, I don't know if we'll be able to pull in our box there all the way, but it doesn't matter as much if we just drag it about here. We're going to be getting that other vehicle here in a second. If we can't drive, I'm really not used to the old style of cars in Stormworks. But it looks like we're making our way through here anyways. Got stuck up on a little bit of rocks. And now we're on fire. Well, I guess whatever can go wrong will go wrong here. So, I guess we are going to have to abandon it and just walk over to my other vehicle there. I'll say goodbye to it. Maybe I should wave. I don't know, should I wave? I'm not good at goodbyes though. It's just, it's left. It's gone off to college. It's pursuing a higher education over there. Anyways, as that one is in a ball of flames over there, I'm going to be walking over to this huge van here. And I started from the ground up, made this thing extremely heavy, but I also gave it a sort of tall lift kit to try to make it pretty good off-road. It was my first off-road vehicle, not my first vehicle as in a sense of car in Stormworks, but it was purposely made for off-roading, as well as that crazy underwater-esque thing. And this one has so much more stuff built into it for that underwater. We have extra tanks for air, extra tanks for exhaust in case our bobber actually does go under the water. And this thing, I mean, I think I finished it. Well, not finished it, but the final version I have here, the final version I was working on, was finished when the solar panels came out. I do apologize, I jumped about there. Anyways, let's see if I can actually get this thing started. I know we need to run pumps to the engine. I'm gonna start her in low gear. We don't want to put drive on yet. We need to click these two buttons for air intakes. Okay, there we go. Engine is started. Let's turn down that and put our up button there. And if we give it some drive... Oh, parking brake. That's my fault. So we are actually moving. I do apologize about the winch sound in the back. It is quite loud, but I'll show you guys exactly why we have that winch sound going on. Just like the other vehicle, if you don't see it already, we have this huge tank on the back end that is going to be floating up and giving us that exhaust and air intake. As you can see, the entire back end of this vehicle here was purposefully built to go and raise up. But another big problem that I had found out with the Escape, or the crossover, whatever you want to call it, the red 4x4 little vehicle that's now hung up in the rocks over there, that one would run out of the winch line very quickly, so we couldn't go to very far depths with that vehicle there. So how I actually did fix that was, instead of just putting one winch, I put 3 in here for both exhaust and air. And now this thing has a crazy amount of piping and everything. It's got plenty of buoyancy on the one box there, so we have no problems anymore. And you can actually see those the winches already popping out there. They're actually hoses, excuse me. The hoses popping out of the back end of the vehicle, and we have a whole nother set. So this thing can reach meters of up to, I think it was probably 70-75 meters. I know I had a low depth meter on here, so I know when we are getting close to our bad value type of deal, to the highest value we can go for depth, so we can just keep going. I mean, we can go out here, find Atlantis if we want to. I mean, the vehicle never really had any problems. I'm hoping we don't have any problems with it today, because if they haven't really changed anything, it should still work perfectly. I mean, that's kind of what it seems like right now. We might be losing a little bit of RPS, but that's just because I'm going a little bit light on the throttle right now. If I do put it to the ground, we do... Ooh, wow, we don't have much fuel on this thing. I mean, I do have the 4 medium tanks, but putting in the extra tanks for air and exhaust it added a little bit more, or took apart more room than I would have wanted it to, so I had to put the gas on the roof here. And it looks like we're not even challenging it for the depth that it can go. I really do want to see, because we do have a depth meter. It is reading a negative number, but who cares? We just know that means we're below the surface of the water. So we also do have this locking door here, so it's actually a fully air system. So even if we are in survival here, we won't drown, unlike the Escape back there. So that was another big advancement I had made. Shoot, we're going into low depth already? Wow. You can see how quickly that flies up on you. So we need to turn around. It is about 50 meters, I think, or 45. Our engine just stall? Here, let me put parking brake on. We gotta try to restart it, because we have to call it for a rescue crew here, because I don't think I've ever gotten a car running but stuck at the bottom of the ocean. This is a first for me, definitely. Status update, ladies and gentlemen. We are stuck at the bottom of the ocean still. Despite my greatest efforts, I cannot get the engine started again. And because we are now below 25 meters under the water, I cannot get a signal up to the land. We don't have higher, more advanced radios here, so I'm stuck down here. Running low on food and good water. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have any suit to get out of here, any scuba diving suit, any diving suit for that fact. I might actually be running out of oxygen. It's been a few hours now that I've been sitting down here. So, wish me luck. Last ditch attempt here. Come on. Come on. You want to start. How's our battery? Speed, exhaust, fuel. Battery's at 80%. So... there we go. It's just our air was bad. Okay, so we're using air tanks, so we need to get out of here fast. How did it... parking brake. Jeez. Okay, we're moving. We're moving. We can get out of here. Come on. It's a lifesaver that I put those air and exhaust tanks on. How am I not venting exhaust right now? That might be why the engine's dying slowly. But I think we're out of low depth. We might be able to regain air and things now that we are out of our low depth. We're going up. 36, 35. Wow, it actually started again. Somehow mashing 100 buttons. I mean, I didn't say mashing buttons. I mean, carefully figuring out what I meant to do with all these buttons. I have rescued myself down here. It wasn't any stroke of luck that I kept clicking everything until something worked. I'm surprised it has worked though, because I mean, it's been so long since I've played with this vehicle, and it's still working. I may not be driving the right way. Not at all, no. I've just found some level ground on an island out here where I can, Am I out of fuel? Yep. It looks like my kryptonite here right now, even though I was able to get some air back into the tanks and everything here. Let me close air tanks up. I can actually fill them back up, as you can see. So if we needed to go longer, we could, in turn, sit here, gain some more air, and then go between more valleys in the ocean here. Use those exhaust tanks as well, but yeah, I'm really surprised at it. Here, let me go grab this and bring it back to the workshop. So yeah, guys, this is the vehicle that I had been using, the crazy, very long vehicle here. It is quite difficult to control and pretty outdated, though. I still like the vehicle, because I mean, even after all these months, maybe even like half a year, it still works. It was still able to do the job underwater with all those mechanics in it in the advanced mode. So of course, if you do want to play around with it, I will drop it on the workshop for you guys, and of course there will be a link to it down below, so you guys can go play around with it, make fun of it, upgrade it. I don't care, go do whatever with it. Design your own, make a challenge with your friends with it. I mean, it's definitely a cool and different thing I haven't seen other people try yet. This kind of like rebreather thing. It's not exactly a rebreather, it's like a... yeah, the best thing I could compare it to, like I was talking about earlier, if you guys have ever seen the scuba divers that will go down below the water and they'll have that really long hose that'll follow them from the boat, and they'll pump down compressed air down to them so that they get plenty of air while they're scuba diving, like hundreds, if not 1,000 or 2,000 meters below the surface of the ocean. Like, that's the closest I can think of it. I mean, if I made it any longer, like stupidly longer, like a couple of blocks, I probably could have added in another pump here, and it would have been able to reach probably 60 to 70 meters under the water, and that would have been crazy. Well, I guess negative per se, because we're talking below the sea's surface. So it's almost kind of like a weird tankish submarine here. So that is where I will be ending this video. Of course, if you guys did like it, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to stay up with Stormworks and more of my content. But I've never been great at goodbyes, my people need me, and I need to go.